Alright, hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about adding a GPS to your drone. You may have seen in recent videos that I've had this GPS on my VX 3.5. This specific one is the Walksnail WS181. This isn't the topic of the video, but it will show up later on. The main topic is on this guy, the Flyfish one. And today's video is going to show you how to install a GPS on your drone. We're going to be using my VX5 as the example, but this will apply to any drone. Of course, you're going to have to find mounts and stuff for your specific drone. In the case of the Flyfish one, it comes with this nice GPS antenna mount that puts it here, which I'd rather it be at the front up here, but that's where they've designed it to be, so that's where it is going to be. And without further ado, we'll get into installing it.
Ready, set, go.
That. Okay. So the routing sort of worked out, I think. I'll try and push that down a bit. That might. Yeah, that gives me enough room to pop you back on. That should give plenty of, plenty. It's really hard to kind of do this on camera. That gives it plenty of lead to plug into the GPS. Now we've just got to work out wiring. So do it like that. Get close. Is it going to focus? It goes. So you can see that's the pin out. Means we've got 5 volt there, ground next to it. TX is our white wire, so that goes to RX. Yellow is our RX wire, so that goes to TX. And then SDA and SCL. Realistically, I'm probably not going to use, but I might solder them up after I've got the ground and 5 volt in. SCL is so that is our pads 10. A little bit of that on there. Beautiful. Right. So there is ground, or positive, should I say. See, done. one wasn't as nice, but that's just great. Lovely. So that is all of the UART stuff done. Now we've got to do the serial clock and serial data, and then we're done. And I know that 5-volt pad's got solder on it, but that was just from where I was trying to, yeah, that's where we're at with this now. Okay, so that's serial clock. Now we can do serial data, and then we are done with the wiring part of this. The next thing we would be doing is, well, before going into Betaflight and setting it up, we'll go outside and get our hover throttle value and all of that, just so. Right, and with that, we are all wired up. The soldering job could have been a little bit more, I thought, but to be honest, the solid joints and nothing is bridged. Focus on it. Okay, yeah, nothing's bridged, and we're all good. So that means we can now pop this guy back into his home. Gently does it, gently into the TPU mount. That, and then you can need to rotate it back to give yourself space to do it. Twist the cable as well on this side, just to minimize as much interference as possible. Ideally I would have shielded this as well, but I don't have any of the aluminum tape or anything to do that. Tuck that in there, and just like that. GPS is wired up and ready to go. From here we'll go out, get our hover point, which I'll go into later on. Yeah, because there is some specifics you need to know about that, so I'll explain that when we go out, and then we can go in properly, set up GPS rescue and all of the other stuff. So I'll see you at that point. Alright, so we're at the flying spot, and now we're just going to do a quick hover to make sure we've got our throttles set properly. As you can see, I've got the Betaflight black box stick commands up, so you can see what the exact value is. Sort of around 24, 25, and then go over the power lines and do it over here, so I've got a bit more room to allow the quad to drift. And as you can see, it's around 1247. So when we go into Betaflight, that's the value we need. Okay, now we're going to get on with the actual setup of Betaflight. So let's get open in Betaflight. Wait for that to open up if it isn't already. Oh, it is. Well, there you go. And then grab your quad, make a ton of noise, and plug it in. Alright, so now we're in. We need to go to the failsafe tab, and you've got to make sure enable expert mode is on, otherwise if you turn it off the failsafe tab does not show up, so you need to have expert mode turned on for it to show up. So from here we go down to GPS rescue, and then we set this up to how we want it. So how I've got it set up is the initial climb is a 10-meter climb. It's in maximum altitude mode, which means it goes to the maximum altitude the quad was at, and then ascends 10 meters more from that. Return altitude, as it says, only applies when this is in fixed altitude, so that tells it up to 15 meters, and then that's the altitude I'll return at. Your ascend rate is how fast you want it to go up. I've got that set to 5 meters a second. Return ground speed, so that's how fast you want it to move. 7.5 meters a second. I'll have to put the conversion up because I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think that's what, 20-ish miles an hour. I'll put it up. And then we have our maximum pitch angle, so that's how much your quadcopter can pitch. The descent distance is how far away from the home point it will start to descend. So at 20 meters away, which is what it's set to now, is when it starts to come down. The descent rate is set to 2.5 meters a second. We have throttle minimum at 1100, throttle maximum at 1700, and this is the important one, as it says here. This is what we did at the flying spot where I was hovering. So as a ballpark, I put it at 1240, but from the black box data, we know that needs to be around 1247. Minimum distance to home, so what this means is how far away from the home point how far away from the home point you have to be before you can activate GPS rescue. Minimum satellites determines how many satellites it needs to have a lock for before it will allow you to take off and arm the quad. Allow arming without fix is good if you're testing things, but with this turned on, say if you had this turned on, all failsafe does is it acts like drop. So it will just drop out the air instead of GPS rescue. And finally we have the sanity checks off. Another thing I've also done in the stage 1 fallback, which say we got RX lost and had a proper failsafe, it goes through stage 1 and then stage 2. So we set stage 1 to have a throttle value of 1275, which is about 27% throttle. And what that does is it makes it so the quad gains altitude ever so slightly as it's in that 1.5 seconds of fallback before it goes into GPS failsafe. And now, since we've got our proper throttle hover value, we can save and reboot. And once takes a second. Once it's done, that's all good. And from there, the last thing we need to do is a proper GPS rescue test. That I will most likely disable the magnetometer that's in this GPS for that, because I'm not 100% on it. So I might disable the magnetometer for that test, because I'm not 100% on calibrating it just yet, and calibrating it at my desk isn't the most ideal way of doing that, because there is magnets and other metallic objects around all the time, so it's never going to be perfect. Calibrating the magnetometer is something you should really be doing out at your flying spot, because then there is little to no metallic objects or magnets that can interfere with the compass in the GPS. In this case it's the Flyfish M10 QMC. And yeah, the next part we'll be actually doing a proper failsafe test. We shall see. I just want to test, make sure it's all set up properly.
Rescue mode active.
Where's it going? It is. Huh, sweet. Well, now I know that's working. Go from a bit further back. Sort of over here.
It goes up.
I set it to about 10 meters. It works out where it is, and then it will. It's because it goes into like a weird angle mode-esque thing. No, but it can apparently 80 meters. Alright, for good measure, we're just going to test the 3.5 also works a GPS rescue. So let's get it in the air.
See the rescue or pull out the sky.
Indeed. So let's get some sort of distance, a bit of height. To there, knock it into rescue, see what it does. How's it going? And it's definitely coming back to us. Definitely struggling a little bit with the wind up here, but it is doing it. Okay. Cool. Let's do it again, but go a bit further away. So I'll say around here. Do it again. And it come up. Okay, and there it goes. Okay, it's definitely coming back towards us, even if it is getting a bit blown about in the wind. But it is coming back towards us. And alright, cool. That's working as well. Alright guys, and that is the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching through to the end. If you have any questions, make sure you leave them down in the comments. And make sure you like, subscribe, and make sure the notification bell's turned on. That's the very important thing. And we'll see you in the next video. See you later.